How long is 10 seconds? Hey, I am Kwame Abdul-Bey. I am the elections coordinator at the Arkansas Public Policy Panel. And in that position, in addition to me working to make sure that the average Arkansan in the 75 counties that we have understand electoral justice and the importance of registering to vote and then actually following up that registration with participating in the electoral process by casting votes. I am the campaign manager of two BQCs. A BQC is a ballot question committee, and BQCs are sponsors of ballot measures, are petitions where we collect signatures to to create new laws, basically. Arkansas is one of a little over a dozen, I think about 14, 16 states that actually have the constitutional right to collect signatures to change laws or to make laws. We here in Arkansas were able to do that on the state level, the county level, and the city/town level. So today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about a ballot initiative that everyone in Arkansas should have some familiarity with because this will be the second iteration of that ballot measure. We originally proposed it in 2024, and we collected just over 71,000 signatures in less than 3 months. And we did it in that little small time span because of a lot of the hoops that we had to jump through and the hurdles that we had to jump over, go around, dig a hole under, that the state of Arkansas put in front of us because of the changes that we were trying to make in public policy. So we're back again here in 2026 with that same exact ballot measure. And this time, instead of having less than 3 months, we have more than 6 months to collect the required 91,000 signatures so that we can get the Arkansas Educational Rights Amendment of 2026 on the ballot this coming November, so that Arkansans will have an opportunity to make a choice. And the choice will be for the children of the state of Arkansas. 95% of all Arkansas children attend public school, and this ballot measure will be for those children and the people, the professionals who work to make them the humans and the citizens that we want them to become. And to talk about that ballot measure, we have April Reisma. She is the president of the Arkansas Education Association, and she's a grandmother that wears boots that her husband is concerned about. And she's a really lovely person, and she has one of the greatest senses of humor that I've seen in a long time. So I want to welcome you, April, and I do know that Barry Jefferson, the president of the NAACP Arkansas State Conference, was supposed to be on here with us, and he may pop in, but he did have a bit of an emergency that he had to deal with. So it's just me and you. How's your day going today?
Well, it's going pretty good. You know, it's Friday for me, and that was a heck of an intro for me. I appreciate that.
Oh, yes, indeed.
I mean, back at you, my friend. Back at you. We understand each other's humor. That's what scares me the most.
Yes, indeed.
I do want to clap back a little bit on something that you said.
Okay.
You said something about, the 95% of our kids that go to school, which is true in our public schools. But this ballot measure really is for 100% of the kids.
Yes.
And those kids that homeschool and those kids that go to private schools, because the ballot measure make sure, and we'll get into it a little later on, but it makes sure that we have quality programming for all of those children, because that's what, every single child, no matter where they go to school, they're still going to become an adult. They're still going to be taking over the governance of this beautiful state of Arkansas. And we want to make sure that they are prepared for sure.
You are 100% correct, and thank you for that clap back. Let's start by, let's put it out there. The AEA is a union of professional teachers that first and foremost, for those of you that don't know, you guys have been under a constant assault by the legislature over the last couple of years for the work that you do and who you stand for. With that in the back of my mind, I wonder what made it important for the AEA as an organization that has been targeted to step out in front and take on this role of making sure that this ballot measure gets on the ballot.
Now we do. We represent teachers, but we also represent the education support professionals. Every single staff member that is in public school setting are the people that we represent. And myself, I'm a special education teacher, and part of that is representing the students, of course. So our staff in our public schools need to be supported so that they can take care of our students. And as I mentioned earlier, the future of Arkansas, right? And one of the things that we stand on is to make sure that we have a great public school in every community in Arkansas, right? But we want to make sure that the public education is equitable, that it's great, because, we hear the word adequate. We have adequacy funded, and we want to have an adequate education. That is not what we're doing. We want to have the quality education that every single child deserves, right? And so it's vitally important that when we discuss these things, that the AEA is involved. You say that we're the union for Arkansas. Yes, we are. We're the state affiliate union of the largest labor union in the country, the National Education Association. And you say we're under assault, and we are. And in fact, quite a few people that might be listening to me might say, a union? I didn't know we had a union for educators here in the state of Arkansas, because we don't have a lot of the bargaining power that other unions do. And that's because of the assault that we've been under. People are dead set on getting rid of us. And just to let you know, and we're not going anywhere, because we have to continue to fight. I get to question why. Why do you keep going, April? It seems like it would be a sad thing to go to work every day, but quite the opposite. It's invigorating, because I know that I need to say my piece and make sure that we try to do what's best for every child. And if I don't do that, and I answer to the good Lord when the day comes, what did you do? People already know what I did, but I'll be able to say that I stood up and I said what needed to be said, or did what needed to be done to protect our children.
When you look at the state of public education in Arkansas, what is your summation of it?
Of public education?
Yes, in Arkansas.
It's lacking.
Okay.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it's perfect, because it's not. And quite frankly, I don't think anybody's situation is perfect. It never can be. We constantly need to be working on that. But it can be improved dramatically, for sure. Appropriation of funding, making sure funds are getting to where they need to go, making sure we have enough educators in the classroom for our students. Overcrowding in the classroom is a problem, because we don't have enough educators. Making sure that our most vulnerable, our students with disabilities, have the care, the one-on-one care that they need. Making sure that our children have tutoring available when they need. to have extra support and making sure that we have healthy schools to attend and making sure that every school stays open, and has I shouldn't say equal, equitable resources. Because sometimes one school will need something different than another school has needs. So you shouldn't say equal, but equitable to make sure that everyone has what they need to perform well. And it's the truth that public education has never been fully funded, period. One of the things we do when we go to Washington, D.C. to advocate for funding here in the state of Arkansas for education is we talk to our legislators about special education funding. One of the things that they promised to do was to provide 40% funding for special education programs in the states. And we are down to begging for at least 10%. And quite frankly, that is an abomination. And it is, it's telling. It's telling about where our priorities are, because they need to be with our children, and they certainly are not. The old adage, I don't know how many people still use a checking account register. I do. Not too many people do, but they say when you look, when you write your checks to, when you spend your money, it tells you your priorities. And right now, our priorities are not the children.
Can I ask those two questions to elicit the answers that you gave me to kind of set a frame up for the picture that we want to paint here? So when we talk about the Arkansas Educational Rights Amendment, we're talking about an attempt to change public policy here in Arkansas for the betterment of the situation that 95% of all Arkansans go through at least 12 years of their life, K through 12, maybe that's 13, K being zero. Yeah, so that's probably 13. We spent 95% of Arkansans spend 13 years of their life in the public school system here in Arkansas. What will this amendment do for those Arkansans who are attending public education? And then we're going to also talk about the other 5% as well. So let's talk about how will Arkansans benefit if this measure passes?
Well, let's talk about they're all big, but one of the big ones, pre-K.
Okay.
Available, accessible for 3 and 4 year olds. Students need to come into kindergarten ready to know that they need to know the letters, they need to know the numbers, they need to be ready to move on. And when an educator has to stop and help individuals to be able to be ready, the other students suffer in the room. And so pre-K is a huge help in that area to make sure our students are ready for school and ready to learn. And it needs support, right? The funding for that hasn't been raised in 15 years. It's something that we've already proven that for every dollar invested in pre-K, your return on that is $9. I mean, a 900% investment profit. It sounds pretty good to me, right? It's proven that when we invest in those kind of things, that kids are less likely to end up in prison. Kids are more likely to earn a lot more over their lifetime than students that aren't in pre-K. And I don't think that we should be choosing which kids should be able to go to pre-K and which kids don't make the cut. That causes segregation of classes with our students, and we don't need that to happen. It should be available for every single 3 and 4 year old here in the state of Arkansas. We get a lot of questions about costs. Yeah, it costs a lot to pre-K. I'm not going to sit here and lie about that. But look at that investment. For every dollar that we invest in pre-K, we get a $9 return. And that is amazing for the economy of Arkansas and for those kids. I mean, just to get that great start for their entire career, that's, I mean, it's not something that we should be waiting on. It's a proven fact that pre-K helps. And I don't know if you want to pick apart any more of that before we move on to any of the other components.
Well, definitely. One thing that I would like for you to explain is when you mentioned pre-K, you said 3 and 4 year olds. How do you differentiate? Because sometimes I get confused. I hear about pre-K 3, pre-K 4. What is the difference between a 3 year old going to pre-K and a 4 year old going to pre-K?
Well, we already have services for 4 year olds, right?
Okay.
And so sometimes 3 year olds are ready, and we don't have services for those 3 year olds. Did you want to add anything more to that? But that's essentially, that makes it real kind of just real plain. I know there's more complicated answers than that. But let's look at my youngest grandchild. She'll be 3 here in May, and she's ready. She's ready to go. She doesn't need to wait until she's 4. And she's blessed to be in a community where they do have pre-K available. But it is not available in all areas of Arkansas. It's available in many of them, but not all areas.
So this measure will make it universally available everywhere.
Right.
For anybody, no matter who they are or where they are.
Exactly. And that is going to be a huge change for the preparedness of our students in Arkansas.
And it seems to me that making it universal, where it's for anyone, wherever they are, it seems to me that it would when you think of a boat floating, it brings up the level for the entire state.
Right. Right. For a long time, our rural schools have gotten sham. They still are, right? We can look back at school consolidations, things like that. We see it right now with some schools really concerned about the loss of our students attending public school. Mm-hmm. And it really does affect those little schools that have limited amount of students to be able to attend. And, making sure that they're taken care of with the resources that they need is going to be a huge factor when it goes for the future of Arkansas. Because our public schools are the cornerstones of our communities. It's where we get together and have community meetings, right? Not only is it the place where students learn, but it's also a place probably in a lot of communities where we have the largest employer. And if these schools are lost, those communities will suffer the consequences of that loss in economy, for sure. And when we talk about the preschool being available for those kind of communities as well, it's just reassuring for that economy. We're not just looking at education, but we're also looking at those elements.
All right. So pre-K for 3 and 4 year olds, universal pre-K for 3 and 4 year olds is one of the benefits of getting this measure passed. What is another benefit?
Well, there's been a lot of talk recently, and for a while now, not just recently, about students that are behind and need a little extra help. In fact, we added some tutoring here a few years ago, and we talked about the reading levels for students and being able to move on from 3rd grade. We're looking right now towards the end of the year, some students being retained because they're not going to school well on their Atlas reading part. Right. One of the things that this ballot measure will provide will be after school activities and summer activities so that those students can get that extra help that they need. But also, these programs are for kids whose parents work and they need a place to go after school or during summer. And it's a place of enrichment. It's a place of belonging. It's a place to do something so that you're not just alone, really. So after school and summer programming is another huge part of this ballot measure.
And will that be also available to anyone, anywhere?
Right, yes. That's the whole plan, to make sure that every single child in the state of Arkansas has equal opportunities.
All right, that sounds pretty impressive. What's our next benefit?
Well, let's talk about students living in poverty. We've
All
got
right.
a lot of that in the state of Arkansas. One of the things that this measure does is provides for wraparound services for students that are within 200% of the federal poverty. And we've got a lot of those, as I mentioned. We've got food pantries for them. I've been involved with school backpacks that we send home with the students at the end of the week for when you have food at home. We passed universal breakfast last year. That was great for the legislative session. I'd love to see us expand that to provide lunch for these students, right? And not just for our students within the 200%, but for all of our kids, so they have a great, nutritious lunch. But wraparound services also include mental health, right? A huge part of our public school system is anxiety. And really, it's not just kids, it's the educators as well. We need some mental health support for these students. Basic needs, just making sure that the whole child is taken care of. Because we talk about they can't, when they come to school, if they're not, if they're hungry, they can't learn anything. Well, what about if they're dirty? If they need clothes? If they didn't get a good night's sleep the night before? If they're battling things inside that we know things out? And I mentioned adults earlier and the free breakfast, right? It's for students, but what about staff? I've got a lot of education support professionals across the state that don't make a very good amount of money. And in fact, it's at poverty level or below. And we talk about students not being able to learn when they're hungry, but people can't work when they're hungry too. So honestly, I think the free breakfasts and the lunches, they should be for staff as well, quite frankly. But wraparound services take care of the full child. Every educator that's listening to this today knows that we don't just do academics in school. We take care of the full child all the time. And it's a lot of work, but we love it, right? And we need to make sure those kids are taken care of.
Yes, and I can definitely appreciate the significance of that. Let's go ahead and get everything out there, and then we could discuss discuss the areas individually. What's our next benefit?
Quality special education.
Quality special education. Okay.
I am a special educator. I remember back in 2016, the legislature called for a task force and governor, making sure that they're looking into what our special education services needed. In fact, one of our staff here at the AEA was on that. A former boss of mine was on that. In fact, I think she chaired that task force. And they came up with a pretty thick book of recommendations for special education and how we can improve it. And it was one shiny book too. And then it got put on a shelf. And nothing's been done about it. Not a darn thing. We found out that we were drastically underfunding special education. But did we increase any funding for special education? No, sir, we did not. So it seems like that was a big waste of money, especially when myself and other special educators looked at it and thought, oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea too, because they had come to us, the professionals in the classroom, to find out what we thought would help improve. And that to me is just a novel idea, isn't it? Going to the experts in the field to find out what could possibly improve this situation so that our students would do better. And honestly, I feel like it's a big slap in the face to all special educators, especially that task force that worked so hard. And how about the taxpayer that paid for that task force to do all that work? And nothing's been done about all of those recommendations. So we need to bring that back. We need to check on its, see if it's still pertinent, which by the way it is, and make sure that our students most in need are taken care of in the special education area. Now, I mentioned earlier about academic requirements and how we don't want to be adequate, we want to be quality, and not just for those 95% of the kids that go to public schools, but also those other 5%, right?
But before you go there, I have a question. When you were talking about the special education, you spoke about special education in Arkansas being underfunded. You did not mention anything about being underfunded as far as the pre-K is concerned, as far as the after school and summer programming is concerned, as far as the support for children in poverty. How does the funding work here in Arkansas for those three things?
Well, I did mention something about how they had increased funding for pre-K in 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I mean, that's something that needs to be addressed as well.
So
right?
they haven't, in 15 years, they haven't properly funded pre-K. And as far as special education, it's been not properly funded. What about the after school and summer programs? How's the funding for that?
Yeah, there isn't any funding.
There's no funding.
Right, yeah, no funding. So this is something that's provided when you've got big brothers, big sisters, right? And you've got the boys club, the boys and girls clubs, and things like that. Churches providing things like that. There are after-school activities and programs, but they're not funded. And we want those folks that are listening right now. I don't want you guys to go out of business at all. Those should be part of it. That's what we're talking about, making sure that you're funded so that you can provide even better services for those students that need it, for sure.
And then as far as you were talking about wraparound services, how's the funding for that?
And that's, as far as my experience is saying, it's all donations, right? My husband works at a food pantry. Those are all donations. I have worked in schools with making those backpacks, and those are all donations, And a lot of times it comes from donations from the teachers who aren't making, adequate amounts, and the educational support professionals that really aren't making adequate money, right? Coming from donations. And that's what this bill does, right? Provides funding for those. But, we can't give exactly where that's going to come from. That's legislative work that once this is passed, that's where that money needs to be appropriated from, is from the legislature. That's what their task is to do.
So we're at a state right now where pre-K is not funded properly, where after school and summer school is not funded at all, where wraparound support services are not funded properly, and where special education is not funded properly. And this bill will set up the public policy mechanism to ensure that all four of these things are funded to the extent that they need to be funded so that all Arkansans can benefit from that. Is that a correct assumption?
That is correct, Bonnie. You were really listening well. Good job.
I'm taking notes right here.
Hey, we're trying to make sure that every child has the best chance they have at quality. And these are proven things that can really help set a person on a great trajectory. And that can only benefit them.
And I think we have two more things that this measure provides as benefits to Arkansans. And I want us to go ahead and talk about those two things. And then for those that are watching on Facebook or YouTube or here in the Zoom, Feel free to put your questions, comments, suggestions, concerns in the chat, and they will be sent to me, and I'll be able to bring those into the discussion. So, what's the rest of the benefits for this ballot measure?
So some folks on this might remember the Lakeview decision, and at that point in time, there were some standards that were made for a school. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was the Supreme Court, right?
Yes,
So
the state Supreme Court.
right. And the legislature hasn't done anything with it. Right? But we don't want them, like I mentioned earlier, we don't want our standards for our schools to be adequate. We want them to be quality. This measure doesn't make that. That's something for discussion for another time. But we want to make sure that those things that are needed for a well-rounded curriculum are placed verbatim from that decision, the Rose Principle, what they're called, often, verbatim into the Constitution, so that entities that provide education for our children have to follow those standards to make sure our students have what they need to be prepared to be productive citizens. And so, just basic subjects, of course, for English and math and social studies, science, but also for the arts, because, we talk about well-rounded citizens. The arts are a huge thing, physical education, and programming that students need to have just to become, a well-rounded citizen. And so that's one part. And then that final part is making sure that other 5% of students are taken care of. We want to make sure that every entity that take advantage of our vouchers that we provide at the Learns Act have to follow those same standards that public schools have to.
These same rule standards.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then all of the other things that you talk about is pre-K.
Right, exactly. Yeah. We want those great items for our students to be available for every child.
100%.
100%. Because we want every child to have an opportunity to have a great life. And we can't if we're just providing them in the public schools. But I know you're a taxpayer, Kwame, so am I. I want my money.
I try not to be, but yes, I
am. Fortunately, we're coming up to the time where I'm going to have to write a check.
Yes,
but,
yes.
I want to make sure that my money is spent well. And I want accountability for that money. I attended the legislative committee meeting earlier this week that talked about how those funds are held accountable. And the phrase was used that we base it on the honor system to hold those funds accountable. And, for me, that concerns me greatly. It concerns me greatly. Because, to be honest, I like to think everybody's honorable.
Yeah, I would like.
Not everybody is, my friend. And so we need to make sure that every single dollar that we spend is held accountable. And, I say that public education isn't perfect either. I said that earlier. So sometimes the funding that goes to these districts, they're not always appropriate if they are there. So it's something we really need to look at too, to make sure that the funding, when we get those full funding, finally going to the schools, make sure it's going to the right spots where they're needed. The programming that's needed for the child, and not lining the pockets of anyone at all, except for the future of the state.
And that would be, as you spoke about earlier, the equitable distribution versus the equal distribution.
Exactly, making sure that what the resources are needed, whatever zip code you're in, whatever small community you're in, whatever neighborhood you're in, whatever your needs are there, that they're being met.
All right, so we began by framing the discussion, and the discussion was framed where our current state of public education is not where we would really like it to be. There are a lot of issues and concerns that need to be addressed that have not been addressed in a very long time. And then within that frame, we put the picture of this new attempt to alter public policy where those issues that are in the frame could actually be addressed and be addressed in a way that benefits everyone. It sounds like a win-win situation. It sounds like I'm not going to call it a utopia. It actually sounds like what should be happening.
It should be pretty basic, right?
Yeah.
You know, we have polling that proves that as well. We've had
Okay.
polling done and across all political views, across all income levels, across race and sex. And the polling shows that almost 80% of the folks in the state are for it. Shockingly, right? I mean, it just makes sense. Like you were saying, of course people are going to be for it because it's actually what's supposed to be being done, right, for our folks.
Yeah, and it's something that I believe as a taxpayer, as you just outed me, I believe that if my money is going into an investment where for every dollar that I pay in taxes, the state of Arkansas will have a $9 return, then that's a very, very worthwhile investment. I don't know of any bank in Arkansas that gives you that when you put your money in a savings account. But I don't know how someone could be against making education for every single Arkansan something that everybody can have at a level where everyone can come out of public school in 12th grade and you are cultivated into that citizen and that family person and that community member and that employee or employer that we all need in order to have a state where everybody thrives.
Right.
That's what I'm hearing from you. I don't know if I'm correct. You can correct me.
I wouldn't be involved if that wasn't what the case was. So.
Okay.
And I noticed what I did earlier. You know, I said something about it's for our kids. That's the website. I mean,
Yes.
There's a reason why it's for our kids, for arkids.org, because it really is for our kids. And when I die, I want to leave it in good hands. I want to leave Arkansas in good hands, right? And I think we all do. And I want better for my kids and my grandkids. You mentioned that I'm a grandma of 12. I want every single one of my family members and every single one of your family members, everybody's family members to have a chance to succeed.
And if we all want that, this should not be a hard sell.
It should not be, and it's you mentioned earlier that we only had 2.5 months, a little less than 3 months last time. We had 71,000 signatures, and we've got 6 months in. We've already have thousands of signatures, and we have huge signing events going on all over the state this coming weekend, including right here at the AEA building. We'll be having a drive-through for both petitions. We didn't mention the other petition, but we did have 2 petitions. We'd like to bring them up. But I'm sure we'll get ample amounts of signatures this coming weekend, especially at all these events. But we've had a lot of folks come in and take petitions where they're going to be going out in their communities to be able to get those signatures. And when we go throughout the entire state and we get these signatures, it's showing that this is what Arkansans do.
Oh, and you just mentioned the second ballot measure, and I talked about it earlier. Why is first of all, what is that ballot measure? Second of all, why is AEA supporting that ballot measure? And thirdly, how does that ballot measure and the Arkansas Educational Rights Amendment how do they work together, if they work together?
So it's the ballot measure rights amendment of 2026.
Okay.
And you mentioned about how there's a little bit more than a dozen states, it's like 15, I think, or 16 states still have that ability to do so. And we don't want to lose that ability in the state of Arkansas. It's an ability for the average Arkansan to rule, the people rule here in Arkansas. And although we elect people to represent us, sometimes they don't always represent us fairly or correctly. And sometimes we have to take initiative to put initiatives out. And this ballot measure rights, it protects that ability to do so. So that's kind of how it works together, because if we don't have the ballot rights measure taken care of, the legislature can get rid of the educational rights amendment because they have the ability currently to do so through a 2/3 vote. Correct me if I'm wrong, 2/3 vote.
Yes.
And this protects the right of Arkansans to, first of all, propose the ballot initiatives, the right to gather signatures across the state, and the right to sign a petition. So we have a right to sign the petition. We also have a right to gather and ask our neighborhoods to get those signatures. It blocks the legislative interference of being able to stop these initiatives, because really, what are you saying when you say the people rule and we can go out and do all this work to get a ballot measure passed, and then you can just turn around and with a 2/3 vote get rid of it? That is not saying the people rule. That's saying you rule. Representatives will. And that is not what we need here in the state. We need to work together for sure to make sure that every Arkansan is taken care of, right? And we want to have a due process system. That's part of the ballot measure as well. If we make a mistake, that we have an opportunity to fix it. I don't know about you, but I only make mistakes on days that end in Y. So it does happen. We are human beings. And so we should have some sort of due process in place for us to be able to correct any mistakes that may have been made. But also, when we have groups that are going against our ballot measure, they have to make sure that they do it in a timely manner if they want to bring this into the courts and not do it right before an election. So in the past, sometimes that happens right before the election. So the ballot's already created, this measure's on the ballot, and we vote, but it doesn't mean anything because of some kind of or some kind of interference legally, right? And so I'd love for you to clear up anything that I just said that was wrong.
Oh no, you're on
it's
point.
It's really ensuring our right?
Yeah. So basically, if we do not get the ballot measure rights amendment passed, then even if we get the Arkansas Educational Rights Amendment passed, it's susceptible to being messed with by the legislature at their whim.
Right, and it's hard work volunteering to get these petitions. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time out of everyday Arkansans' lives, and to have the potential for that to just be thrown away, it could be devastating. And so we need to protect that right for Arkansans. And that's why AA is involved, because as you mentioned earlier, we represent the educators in our school systems across the state, and we want them to have a right to be able to do ballot measures, but also to protect that educational rights amendment as well.
Thank you, April. And for full transparency, I just would like to let all of the viewers of this webinar know that I, Kwame Abdul-Bey, am the campaign manager for our rights and for our kids and protect our rights. So this webinar is an informational webinar for you to get the information that you need to make the right decision. And with that, I definitely want to leave the floor open. We have several people that are watching currently via this Zoom. We have several people that are currently watching on Facebook. Feel free to post your questions. Oh, I see we do have a question right now. This question is from Joe Askins. It's a lengthy question. I'm going to go ahead and read it.
It's not pertaining to these ballot measures, though.
It's not?
No.
Oh, you've already read it. Okay.
Yeah, it's pertaining to Act 565, a law that we supported last year. And Joe has reached out, and I've told him that we are working on this. And so that's something that we don't need to be talking about here. We can take care of that
Okay.
online.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you've spoken to Joe.
Still working on it. And I know that we did have some discussion about that previously.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I'm going to click that as answered. If we have anyone else that has any questions, comments, suggestions, or concerns about the Arkansas Educational Rights Amendment of 2026, feel free to put your questions, comments, suggestions, or concerns in the chat, and we will pull them out and we will definitely discuss them.
There is one more thing about Joe's question, though. We can't, it's too late, Joe, to add this to our proposal for the petition because it's already been filed and we're already collecting signatures. So that has to be dealt with in a different way. Okay. So thank you for your support, and just know that legal is working on this, and we actually bought in anyway as well. So I just want to.
Yeah, one thing about this measure, as it currently has been drafted and approved by the powers that be, it is definitely not if we were to have a complete wish list of everything that we wanted in this measure, everything we wanted did not make it into the measure. We could only put so much into one amendment. When we wrote this amendment, we said, okay, what is out of this long list of the things that we want, what is best to start off with? Because we look at this as being the beginning of a process, and correct me if I'm wrong, April, where we're going to put the best of what we wanted out there first, and then we're able to go in and make improvements and add other things like you were talking about. Joe's question about his being able to add something to it. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we also had some folks say we've got too much of it. And already I mentioned earlier at the beginning about which one was more important. No, they're all important, right? They're all important, right? And we do have we have a plan for moving forward. You can only do so much at once. So that's everything you just said. Totally improvement. So that's true.
Wonderful. Thank you. You spoke about this weekend. This weekend coming up is the observance of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. His actual birthday was actually yesterday, January 15th, but the federal day of service will be on Monday the 19th. And the BQC, for our kids, BQC is sponsoring a signature launch throughout the state of Arkansas. And could you talk a little bit about that?
Well, a lot of us have Monday off. We don't get mail, right? Mm-hmm. And it's on my schedule as a day off. But it's not really a day off. We're actually doing a day of service. We're like actually a weekend of service. We're supposed to be serving our communities, and we need to, in the mindset of Dr. King, serving our communities, and part of that is making sure that we get these ballot measures taken care of. So everyday Arkansans have their rights, right? And having these locations all across the state will be a huge boon to be able to get those signatures taken. year, but it's just a start. And as I mentioned, we are having a drive-through right there at the AA building. And there's other locations that you can look at. Where are we going to post those at? I know that I've shared them on social media for our kids and protect our rights. I've also shared them on social media. It was on TV earlier this week. You may have caught Bill Cosby speaking about it on one of the afternoon shows on ATV. I was also featured on the ATV about what that work looked like. And those signing events started actually yesterday on the birthday. And so if you're not sure of where to go, I was going to give those two websites again, Protect Our Rights, AR, rights, and for Our Kids, ARkids.org on both of those. And you can go there to read the ballot measure yourself. It's right on that first page. If you scroll down just a little bit and click on it to read it. There's also opportunities on there to volunteer to gather signatures. Because if you're like me, it means a lot to you and you want to get this taken care of. And you can gather signatures. I'm sure everybody that's listening can get at least 10. Come on, it's your family, right?
Yes.
People that care about it. If you care about it, you probably have family and friends that care about it as well. And if you're going to church Sunday, probably get a lot of signatures at church too. You take it with you wherever you go, getting those signatures. And let's get those signatures in quick because we do have until July 3rd to get everything taken over across the street. But I want to get it done by May 1st, right, Kwame? I mean, that'd be great.
The earlier that we get them and the more that we get above the required 91,000-ish, the louder the statement that is made. You did speak about the Arkansas State Supreme Court and what the Arkansas State Supreme Court did recently as far as widening the powers or the abilities of the legislature to go in and tinker with the people's right to rule over themselves through ballot measures. And I really just forgot what I was getting ready to say.
I'm sure it was profound. It'll come back, Kwame.
Oh my gosh, I really forgot what it is. Okay, so I've been on a fast, and
yes, he has.
Sometimes I have
just water.
Sometimes it just goes, and it just went right there.
When do you get to eat again, Kwame?
I think I'm going to break my fast this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, so 2 weeks is enough.
That's way too long, my friends.
2 weeks is enough, especially since Kamara came in there with that food last night.
Right, she's something.
It's been on my mind.
Yeah. I'm proud of you. I'm sure it was vitally important. Beautiful.
Yes.
Maybe after our webinar.
So let's go ahead and I don't see any more questions from anyone on YouTube or on Facebook or here in Zoom. Let's go ahead and let's land this plane. We've talked about the importance of this ballot measure and how 100% of Arkansans will benefit from this, not just the 95% that go to public school, but even the 5% that do not go to public school. Them and their households will also benefit from this, particularly in the long run, but there are some short-term benefits as well. And we talked about this ballot measure being intimately connected to the other ballot measure for Protect Our Rights. And we also talked about the events that are going on here in the state of Arkansas this weekend, MLK weekend. What is the ask that you have of everyone that's viewing right now?
I want you to spread the word. Yeah, that's the biggest part. Spread the word. get some petitions, get some signatures on it, sign it yourself. Um, and make sure that you get folks registered to vote. Because this isn't gonna mean anything if we don't have folks out there voting, in November. Voter registration, we still have to do it on paper, in the state of Arkansas. And, we wanna make sure that folks are registered. So you wanna check voter view, we wanna make sure that you still are registered to vote, because, some of the names have been purged from the system if you haven't voted in the last 2 cycles. Additionally, you need to sign those petitions with the name that you registered under to make them valid. So really, when you're going around getting petition signatures, just go to voter view. I keep it open on my phone, as in the Safari part, just to make sure that folks can just look at it themselves and say, are you registered to vote, first of all? If not, here's a voter registration. And I'll even put the stamp on it for you. Or I'll take it across the street for you. Also, you want to make sure how your name is spelled and how you got it, if you got your new name or not, so that you can sign the petition. That's what I want to make sure that folks do. Gather those signatures, make sure folks are voting. Trying to think if there was anything else. Have a great
and to that end, there is a 10-minute training video. That if you go to either of the websites that we talked about earlier, forourkids.org or protectourrights.org, or to the panel website, or to the Citizens First Congress website and YouTube page, you will get access to a 10-minute training video that was produced just a couple of months ago that has every single step that needs to be done in order to collect a signature as a volunteer canvasser. And after watching that for 10 minutes, you'll know, hey, is this something that I want to do? I do just remember what I was going to say earlier, and it was something really simple, like if we can get 9,000 Arkansans, and each one of them collect 15 signatures, we're done.
Done.
9,000 Arkansans, and each one of them collect 15 signatures.
And we've got 3 million Arkansans. So.
Yes, so we can definitely do this.
All right. So a question from Shelley.
Yeah, there is a question. Please finish about the Supreme Court. That passed, the legislature can overturn. Yes. All right, so the Arkansas State Supreme Court a couple of weeks ago issued an opinion that says that the Arkansas legislature from that point forward has the ability to basically, I wouldn't say overturn, but amend at their discretion any citizen initiated ballot measure that has been approved in the past, that can be approved presently in 2026, or that will be approved in the future. So the Protect Our Rights ballot measure, which is the Arkansas Ballot Measure Rights Amendment of 2026, solves that problem and actually creates a mechanism that literally undoes what the state Supreme Court just did. So that's why it's vitally important that we get the signatures on both of these measures as soon as possible. Again, not only do we want to get the 91,000 signatures, our goal is 120,000 signatures. Not only do we want to get them, but we want to get them as early as possible. Our deadline, our legal deadline is July the 3rd, but we want to get them all in by May the 1st, if not sooner. And we can do that if 9,000 Arkansans collect 15 signatures each, and everyone knows 15 people, then we're done.
Yep.
All right. Any closing words before we get out of here, April?
I want to thank everybody that is participating for sure. And once you get out there and get those, signatures, I know that, sometimes we feel like we don't have hope. Because it seems like, I mean, you mentioned it earlier, just coming at you left and right. And it's frustrating, y'all. And if I don't keep a smile on his face, I'm done. So that's what I do. I keep my smile on my face, I keep going. And we've got to keep on holding on to that hope because there still is. The people really do rule. And we want to make sure that this passes. And if we continue to work together, we will get things done correctly. Like what Joe asked earlier, you know, it was something else that we're working on. But we don't do everything perfect all the time. And we make mistakes. And we have to work to correct them, right? But this is not making a mistake. This is setting things straight. And mistakes were made in the past, and we're working on getting things straightened out. And this is one of the things that we can get straightened out together. And so we need to stay in solidarity. I'll use that meaning word. We need to stay in solidarity with this to make sure that we reach the end and reach our goal.
Thank you, April. And I am Kwame Abdul-Bey, the elections coordinator here at the Arkansas Public Policy Panel. I want to let you know that democracy is not a spectator sport, and the word citizen is actually a verb. Have a great day.